James Fortune. Hi.
Hey, Crystal Franklin, how you
I'm
doing?
good. I'm good. Look, people that are not kind of new to Elevate, they know that you've been around for the last 20 years, and we're going to talk all about the last 2 decades of your musical career. But first, y'all need to know James and I are old friends.
Yeah, right.
This is going to be a fun conversation. I am so excited to celebrate you today. I am so excited that you are giving us the world premiere, right?
Let's
Of God
go.
is good for a very long time, because he has been. Let's talk about that long time, that good time. God has been good. It has been 20 years. What
Yeah.
was it about the gospel industry and the gospel genre that made you say, I can take up some space here? I'm a little interested in what they're doing over there.
Yeah, it was crazy, Crystal. Of course, we've talked about it because we have been friends for a long time, pun intended. But, being a PK, my dad was a pastor, grandfather was a pastor. I was always around church and gospel music. Now, music didn't initially start out as my thing. My brother was kind of more into the music. I was trying to be an athlete and do other things. But, we always talk about it. There's many plans in a man's heart, but ultimately the plan of God is what's going to be fulfilled. And so for me, it was just, I started out at 5 playing the drums for my dad's church, then being the choir director. So it was really just like when you're a pastor's son, you got to kind of do whatever's needed. So the drummer quit, I was a drummer. Choir director quit, I was a choir director. Usher, whatever I had to do, sound man, I did it all. And so I was just really just singing around Houston and locally, and didn't even think about it as a career or something that I would be doing, for 20 years now. But God kind of just breathed on it, and I began to write songs, and people begin to sing them and be touched by them and be blessed by them. And here we are now 20 years later. And I always share that, a lot of times we have our wants, but it's more about being in God's will, because I would have never thought this would be something that, my children's children would be blessed from just me saying yes to God, even though it was something initially that I didn't see myself doing.
You know what? I know you get a lot of comparisons, obviously, over the years to the great Kirk Franklin,
Yeah.
kind of just being in that center
Yes.
and being able to kind of direct and shape an environment in a room. But I want to talk about your pen. Like, it feels easy, it feels honest, it doesn't feel overly anything. Talk to me a little bit about your journey with writing, because I don't know if a lot of people know that, like, these are your words from your heart. I'm sure with the team of people,
Yeah.
but you really do write really well, and you make it easy to digest.
Wow. Well, Crystal, that means a lot. And thank you for that. And I'm going to say I think that's probably the most difficult part of it, because it's real life experiences. Like, I'm not writing about, you know, what I think or what, like, when I'm writing a song like I Trust You, it's because, I was homeless and I had to trust God, and I had nothing, nothing else to hold on to but my faith. Or if I'm writing stuff like Live Through It, I had to live through different things in my life. And God was like, James, see, a lot of times we want to escape storms, but sometimes God wants us to endure storms. He's like, no, you're not going to escape it. You got to endure it, because it's making you stronger. It's preparing you for what I've already prepared for you. So, so when I write songs like that, it's like he takes me through things. So when people get songs, from me, a lot of these songs that they, James, just really blessed me, and it saved my life. It's like, listen, God spoke it to me first to save my life, and then I'm able to write it for other people. So the pen of relatability really comes because it's from real experiences. It's from real life situations that I've had to go through and endure, and the blessings of it all as well. All of it comes from just my relationship with God.
Speaking of trusting God, it is your second number one single with Monica. Now, you guys have a beautiful musical relationship, and we know her as consumers and fans as Gunica. Talk to me a little bit about chemistry, why you guys continue to team up.
Okay, so me and Monica actually met on Twitter. She actually reached out to me, had tagged me in one of my songs that she liked. I believe it was I Believe. And so we started communicating on Twitter. Then finally she asked me if I would come sing at her wedding with when she got married to Shannon Brown. So from that point on, we just became good friends. And I remember I had the song Hold On. I had just sent it to her because I wanted her to just check it out, because by that point, like I said, we're friends, so we're sharing music. And she's like, bro, like, I would love to get on this song. I was like, really? So I took the singers off, because the singers were initially on the verse that she sings. Took them off, sent it to her. We got it recorded. Me and her were listening to it. We're like, man, we heard another guy on it. And so that's when I called Fred Hammond and got him on it. But from that point, and so for the last 10 years, because we put that out 10 years ago, Grammy nominated, just my first Grammy nomination, a blessing. So she's like, bro, if you put out one more album without me being on it, we're going to have a problem. And the Gunica was starting to come out at that point. So, when God gave me this song, Out Here Trusting God, I sent it to her. And she was like, yep, this is the one. And we recorded it, and it went number one. And I think that chemistry that you see and that you feel is because we do have a real relationship, and we've been friends now, for over 10 years, and in the family. And she does have a love for God. She does love God, and it's important in her life. And so it's always a blessing to work with her. She's phenomenal. She's amazing. And she's an icon.
She does bring a beautiful presence to the song, but you did mention earlier a little bit about a lot of the things that you write about is because you live through them in real
Yeah.
life. How hard has it been as a gospel artist to sing about the love of God, sing about trusting and believing in Him, and then you may be struggling internally as well? I mean, I'm sure that's happened, but I don't want to assume. But like, how hard has it been? Is it some? How do you overcome, getting on stage in front of thousands of people and trying to encourage them, but yet you feel low inside?
Yeah, I always share with people, it's the strength of God, Crystal, when you're able to encourage someone else when you're barely holding on yourself. During a lot of the storm seasons I go through, some public, but a lot of them will be private. So people wouldn't even know, hey, you're going through this, you're going through that. And you have to really push through it and pray and say, God, give me the strength to be able to minister to people, to be able to pour out. And what I found out, Crystal, honestly, some of those times when I'm doing that, it's like, as I'm encouraging others, I feel my strength coming back. My faith is renewed as I'm seeing other people, be lifted and be inspired and be encouraged by songs. It's like it reminds me. Sometimes I have to take my own medicine. It's like, listen, I'm telling other people to trust God and to believe it's already done. And it's like I'm like, God's like, yeah, James, yeah, just what you said. So it's I find out sitting at home. That's when depression sits in. Trying to be like, oh, I can't do it. I don't feel like doing it. When you're called to something, like walking in your calling allows you to be able to press through and walk through those fiery seasons of your life and be able to find strength in those moments.
All right, James. So we know that you are no stranger to collaborating. You have been with some of the greats, the legends, the icons. What some may think is an unlikely pair in Waka Flocka. You teamed up with him last year for a beautiful, beautiful little single. It's a summer bop. It's called Voyage.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the decision to bring him onto the record. And then I want to talk about kind of what you look for when it comes to features and collaborations.
Yeah, so with that one, it was funny. The guy that produced it, a guy named D'Lo, David Outing, he was a producer. So they were in the studio and they were playing it for him. The song was really done, so they were playing it for him just to kind of check out, and he loved it. And so my producer called and was like, hey, I was at the studio. Waka Flocka loved the song. He wanted to call you. So they put him on the phone. He's like, man, the song, it just really blessed me. It touched me. And so he was going on and on kind of about his testimony and sharing some personal things about his relationship with God and how God had been working with him. And he was like, man, I would love to, like, he said, it's a space on the song I hear it's just instrumental. I would love to, get on that part if you don't mind. I was like, hey, bro, I would love, let's try it out and see. So he recorded. So it wasn't even anything that was intentional. Like, it kind of just happened through relationship, and him so happened to be in the studio when the guy was working on the production of the song, and he sent it back to me, and I loved it. And that's kind of how that collaboration happened. It was like we talked for about 30 minutes, and at the end of the conversation, he's like, man, what do you think about me getting on it? And he got on the song, and I loved what he did with it. And I thought I call it borrowed influence, Crystal, because a lot of times, there's people who may not know me, who obviously don't know me, who know him, and vice versa. So it's like I'm able to get the gospel out through his platform just because of the people, by him not necessarily, like I always share, it's not so much about crossing over, it's about taking the cross over. So getting the message across to his platform, by using him as a collaboration as well. It just kind of worked out, and it's a song that everybody's kind of connected with for the summer. It was a bop, and we had a good time doing it together, especially on like the video content and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, what I will say, he looks so happy and he looks free and he looks like healthy. He just looks happy in a different way than we've seen him. So I love that this happened with you and you guys were able to have that moment together and capture it. When you are
Right.
working with people that are not in the same genre as you, what are you looking for? And then what are some things that you are absolutely staying away from? Like, I don't care if it's, whoever, like, is there some things that you stay away from, or are you completely open to maybe collaborating with people that are not in the same genre?
I'm open to it, but it has to be, I have to have a conversation, kind of see where their heart is, and it's not about perfection, but do we believe in the same God? Of course, that's important. What are their beliefs? And other than that, because nobody's perfect. It's not about I'm not perfect. But it is about someone who loves God, has a relationship with God, and for me, it's kind of like the chemistry. Like, what do I feel, when I'm with that person? And I always say this, and it's not to even try to sound deep, but I do pray about those decisions as well. Like, it's not just oh man, it's a secular artist, yeah, let's do it. Like, no, like God is so much more bigger than that. Like, it's not just about trying to use a secular artist just to try to blow up, but it's really about praying like, God, is this something that you want me to do? There's been several opportunities I've had, on the mainstream side that I just didn't feel like God wanted me to do, wasn't going to be pleased with, so I didn't do it. But it's something I definitely pray about.
Well, you know what? I can tell you what I think, and I know for sure that God will be pleased with tonight, Friday. We are live in Houston for the
Live in Houston, Crystal, 20 years.
celebration. Tell me a little bit about what we can expect to see. You got a lot of friends on the bill. Tell me
Yeah.
what we can expect to see.
Well, first of all, I'm excited. You got to think 20 years. This is where it all started in Houston, Texas for me. From my very first song I ever wrote. So to be now bringing everybody back, of course, Zacardi Cortez and Lisa Knowles Smith and Deshandra Mignon, Isaac Carey's going to be hosting it. We're going to be at Lighthouse Church, Pastor Keon and Shawnee O'Neal and Shawnee Henderson, sorry. But, it's going to be powerful. All these hits, all these songs we've been talking about already, we're singing all of them. For the last 20 years, all the number ones. Crystal, I've been blessed with 15 number one songs in these 20 years, which is just an absolute testament to how amazing God is and how special he is and how much he's favored me. But we're going to be singing them and just having a great time in the city where it started with the people that have been rocking with me for a long time. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be emotional, even for my good friend Sean McLemore, who's sung on I Believe, who passed away last year, doing a special tribute to him as well. His wife will be there and his daughter will be there as well. So it's going to be an amazing time, an emotional time, and just a really, really great celebration of all that God has done, because he's been good for a long time.
Let me tell you something. I know 20 years is obviously a long, long time. If I had to guess, I could probably name some of the guesses that you were super excited about getting throughout the journey, though. 2 decades. There knows. But what I like to think is, as we get older and we grow within God, we grow within ourselves, that sometimes we are excited. Those no's are kind of like, you know what? I ain't really need that. That would.
Right.
Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the excited no's that you got? Because the yeses are easy, right? The Grammy nominations, the accolades, sellers that just kind of fall off the shelf at this point. Like, what are some excited no's that now you can look back on and say, you know what? I'm actually thankful that didn't happen, or that wasn't for me.
Right. Well, I'm gonna say the first time I thought I was ready to perform on the Stellar Awards, I was just like, it was my first song that went to the top of the charts, had blown up. And I remember a good friend of mine was like, 'cause I was kind of just, disappointed. I won't say discouraged, but I was kind of disappointed. But he was like, James, you only get a first time, hello. You only get to say hello once. And while I always share with people, while we can see to the corner, God sees around the corner. And I just wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. And I always say God loves us too much to give us too much. So sometimes what we think we want, we're not ready to handle yet. And so even certain stages I wanted to be on, I realized later, I didn't know it at the moment, but I wasn't even ready for that. Like that light, that moment would have killed. It probably would have stunted me. It's kind of like giving birth too soon. Like I wasn't healthy enough. I wasn't ready for those type of platforms yet, to the television and the things that I was desiring. So I always say, because a lot of people, they be like, man, I want to do it. I'm like, do the duty of the moment, because that moment is preparing you for your next moment. Don't get excited about, or don't get discouraged about not getting everything that you want when you want it, more so than trusting God in the development and that God is preparing you, because when you get there, it's not enough just to get it. You want to be able to keep it.
Let me tell you something. In over 20 years, I know that you have seen a lot of things, right? There have been hurt, disappointment, loss, anger, excitement, love. What has been your favorite, maybe top 2 moments the last 20 years? If you had to condense your career down into maybe 2 or 3 moments, what are those moments that always stick out? Maybe things that we don't even know that has happened that have blessed you internally.
What's crazy is 2 of them. I'm gonna say 2 of them would definitely be the success of Todd Galbert and Zacardi Cortez. 2 people who started singing background for me. I always had desire. I knew when I first saw them how special they were. And now to see all that Zacardi is doing, viral, Lord Do It For Me is going crazy all over the world. Todd Galbert, all that he's doing, and with Maverick and in his solo career as well. I get excited about that. When you've lived your dream and God has blessed you, and you see people who were there with you and who came along the journey, and helped you, and walked with me and served with me, to now see God using them in the way they are. That just brings so much joy to my heart. because it's not just about you getting there, but who are you bringing along with you? Who's coming behind you? And to see how God has elevated their ministry is just two of the things in my life right now as I look back over 20 years, because Zacardi's been with me the whole 20 years and Todd Galbert probably for about the last 12 or 13, off and on. It brings joy to my heart, and it's truly two of the things that I'm most proud of.
That says so much about your character, so much about your ministry. Look, tonight, do we have a little bit more tickets on sale?
We got, and they'll still be limited amount also at the church. So you can come to the church at Lighthouse Church if you're in the Houston area, at Lighthouse on the north side on Rankin Road, and come celebrate with us. We're gonna have an amazing time.
Yes, I'm so excited. James, I love you. Thank you so much for spending time with us at Elevate. I'm excited for the next 20 years, right?
Let's go. 20 more. We can do it. We can do it.
Yeah. Good for a long time. It's premiering exclusively on elevate.com. Right now, go look at it. I've already got a little sneak peek. It's real, real good. And James looks sharp. Look real sharp in this.
Thank you. That's Rich Fresh. Shout out to Rich Fresh for the suit.
Yes. Thank you, James.
Thank you. Love you, Crystal. Thank you so much.
Of course. Shout out to Grambling.
Grambling representing. I thought you knew.